Hello Diamond League fans, and welcome to our first athlete interview of 2024. We are joined today by the reigning Olympic, World and Wanda Diamond League champion in the women's pole vault, Katie Moon. Thanks very much for joining us, Katie.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. Yes, it was one of my first competitions overseas. It wasn't my very first, but especially going to Doha, it's a trip. I mean, it's a long travel. I think it's 13-hour flight going there, 15 hours back. But at that point, I was just so young and excited that I think the younger you are, the easier you can adapt to jet lag, and you're just so excited to be there. And I remember, I think I cleared maybe 2 bars, but I was just so happy because it was right in line with what I had been doing. I was holding my own with, these are the best women in the world. And so that was, I remember really loving the experience. So yes. And I'm hesitant to say that too much because I know how negatively people were affected by the pandemic. And so I don't want to sound like we were just off doing whatever, not taking it seriously, but we had a facility. It's this old abandoned warehouse up, kind of in the outskirts of Atlanta. So we were really able to stay in our bubble and keep training in a way that other people didn't have access to. And because of that, I really got to dial in the technical things we were trying to change. I am somebody that's always been better coming off of a long preseason where it's just repetition after repetition without meet adrenaline. When you get into a competition and the bar goes up, if things aren't really dialed in, I tend to revert back to old bad habits. I think that's kind of human nature. You go back to what you know and what you're comfortable with, even if it's not right. And so having that full year to just rep it out over and over again really did help me. So, yeah. The Diamond League really has so much value for us because, and that's not to say that they weren't important in that year in building my confidence, but if you can go into a Diamond League and win against the best, then these are the women that you will see at the Olympic prelims and finals. That also creates a confidence. Like it's nice because then when you show up to the Olympics, nothing is new, nothing is different. You don't have to do anything crazy or special. And it really does allowed me to, I wouldn't say relax because there's nothing relaxing about the Olympic finals. It's all very stressful in a way that I had never experienced. I know obviously the trials are very stressful, but there is still an anxiety with the Olympic Games and just the adrenaline that you feel that I've never felt before. But going into the Olympics, having won a couple Diamond Leagues, it does change your confidence a bit because you go in knowing, okay, anything can happen, but on the days that I have asked my body to show up and perform and beat these women, it has. Definitely, and I'm somebody that I don't feel like there's any real benefit to hiding what is going on with me. Like if you see my social media, it is who I am 100%. You're gonna see pole vaulting and you're gonna see the good, but I'm also gonna talk about my family and my dog, and you're like, it is true to who I am. And growing up, I just remember seeing successful people and thinking that they had it all together, and they were just good because they were good and they don't struggle the way that we do. And I think one of the upsides of social media is that you can be real and you can talk about it. And so I try to when I feel that it's appropriate, and I'm not gonna, sugarcoat things that aren't supposed to be sugarcoated, Yeah, going into that championships was a lot more fun, I will say, because I had a lot more confidence. I knew that I was at a place where I was capable of winning, and that I say that with an asterisk next to it, because obviously on any day anything can happen. But I knew with where my preparation was, I was ready to come out and jump high as long as I executed. And so we really attacked that meet in a much different way, even just the way we planned, passing bars and things like that. In Eugene, I was on a short approach, and I just kind of had to almost compete my way into shape in that meet by itself. And Budapest was very different. Yeah, so the thing about that event, the whole pole vault from prelim to final, was everything about it was just the most intense that I had experienced. The prelim, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it required 3 jumps to make it to the finals. And in the past, there's been often times where I've made it on 1 jump. And the prelims just have a lot more emotion involved, because you have to be so on, because you cannot miss. Like you have to make the final, but do it in as few jumps as possible. So it really, I think, brings out a lot more emotion even than a regular competition, because you have to be so intentional. And every bar is like, okay, that could be it. Let's try and relax. But then the next one, okay, this could be it too. So like, just do it on this one. It's all very, it brings up a level of emotion that drains your energy a little bit more than a regular competition. And then coming back 2 days later, as I started jogging, I didn't feel as sharp as you would want to going into a world championship final. And I said that to Brad, and I just knew that day was going to be a bit more grit, and there was no reason I still couldn't win, but that it wasn't going to be this sharp, effortless feeling around it. It was going to be a bit more of a fight and battle. And we got through to 90, and I was feeling pretty fatigued, and then she cleared 90, and my adrenaline shot sky high. I don't know if I've ever felt that sensation before, even in the Olympics. I maybe at my 3rd attempt at opening height at the Olympics, but there was just something about that adrenaline spike. My whole body was tingling. You can't force that. You can't fake that. Like, it was such a cool feeling. And when I picked up my pole for my 3rd attempt, I remember saying to myself, you're going to like this. This is going to be good. And I did clear it, but with that came a big crash. My first attempt at 95 was a good attempt, and then everything I had just crashed, because I was already starting to fatigue. The adrenaline spiked, and then I knew I was at a point where I could not bring that back up. So I was a little annoyed we had to go to a jump off, because the thought of jumping again was just so daunting. And obviously I'm a competitor, but when she walked up and we were talking about what happens next, I think I said, it will jump again at 95. And she seemed hesitant. That's when it clicked in my head. Oh yeah, we can share. We can be done. Like, yes. And I guess she had, talked about it with her coach. Her coach came up to my coach as it was looking like we had been tied for a while, and said, would Katie be interested in sharing? And Brad just said, that is so her decision. I'm not even going to put that in her head. If she wants to, I am so for it. But like, I will have no part of that. And I'm so happy that he said that. And it was funny, because he's the only person I really would have cared about his opinion, but I didn't care that much to ask. I made the decision in the moment, and I walked over and I said, are you mad? And he said, no, not at all. So yeah, that was just kind of how that came to be. And so I'm really just proud of that whole meet and just how it played out. And it was really cool. So very often as an individual sport athlete, do you have a moment where 2 people walk away truly ecstatic? And so it was so much fun. It was just really fun sharing that. definitely. I've always wanted to win the Diamond League final, and up until this meet, I had never had a good Diamond League final. I don't know what it was, but I don't know if it was just I was at the end of the season a little burnt out or what, but the fact that it was in Eugene, that's my favorite place to jump. I knock on wood, I've never had a bad meet there, and it's just such a good runway. I was definitely starting to run on fumes. I got tired pretty quickly, but I felt really good, but I just had a much more limited number of jumps than normal. But yeah, I really came in like, again, last one, best one. Give this everything you got in a setup that you like. My friends had flown out to come watch, so it really was just an awesome setup for what I would hope it would be like to win a Diamond League final.